Now, Italy's new government has just won its second vote of confidence, this time in the Senate, where Prime Minister Guiseppe Conte and his cabinet secured the approval of the upper house by a narrow margin of 169 to 133. But it's enough for Mr. Conte to forge ahead with his vow to improve ties with Brussels and revive the economy. Well, ahead of the vote, members of the opposition, led by the far-right League parties, Matteo Salvini, continue to call for new elections. Our correspondent Georgia Orlandi is following the story in Rome, and she joins me now. Hello there to you, Georgia. So, as we're saying, the government's just been confirmed by the Senate. That last hurdle has now been performed. What's the top priority for this administration?
Good evening, Isabel. Well, as explained by Prime Minister Conte yesterday in the lower house and today in the Senate when he introduced the 29-point political program that was agreed by the two main parties, this includes key measures that are at the heart of this agreement, with a great focus on families, education, the environment. But there are also big challenges ahead. Three main challenges, especially in the first 100 days. The first one is Italy's budget bill. Italy has to find enough resources not only to sustain reforms but also to avoid an automatic tax hike that would come into effect from next January, but also passing a legislation to cut the number of lawmakers. This is something that was requested by the M5 Star movement, but the movement now fears that the Democratic Party might want to block it. And thirdly, a new approach towards immigration. Also, there are some local elections taking place in three key regions in the next few months. These represent sticky points in the relations between the two coalition partners. But also we've seen growing tensions between these government and opposition parties. We heard what Salvini had to say today in the Senate. He attacked Prime Minister Conte. He said all you did was to save your post. But also we heard a lot of shouting against the Prime Minister coming from opposition parties when they said that this government betrayed voters. Also, Salvini announced that there will be more protests like the one we've seen yesterday in front of Montecitorio Palace, where the lower house is. This is because opposition parties are willing to keep fighting against this government, not only in parliament but on the streets of Italy, with one big rally that is scheduled on the 19th of October here in Rome.